Universal Radio Studios. Celebrities from TV, music, movies, literature, politics, and show business. At one time or another, they all come to The Ron Sedgy Show. So why don't you?
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Thank you, Mike Horn, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show, and welcome to our co-host, Ken Jeffries. How you doing today, Ken?
What a week, boy, I'll tell you.
An amazing week. How are you, our millennial correspondent, Connor Oakes?
Doing very well.
Good to see you here. You're
Happy
not always here in your chair, but you're here today.
This time, today, I am here, and as always, happy to be here.
Oh, that's right. You were not here last week.
I was not here last week.
I had to carry the load, by the way,
You did.
last week.
You put the show on your back.
Well, yeah, and I saved part of the load. It's waiting outside in the car.
Sure.
Well, we've got plenty to talk about this week, guys. Michael Jackson's music. The question is, should we cancel culture?
Well, R. Kelly is in the news. It brings this whole thing all up over again.
Yeah. Should bad people's art be banned or just boycotted by folks? We'll get into that. Stop the presses. The Democrats in Congress hate. They're absolutely against hate of all kinds, not just the kind that one of their representatives allegedly demonstrated. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, there is a God. Hillary Clinton is not ruling out her run for president in 2020.
Thank
yes,
goodness.
That is going to be so much fun.
She said she wasn't going to run, and now she's
running. Adlai Stevenson lost to Eisenhower twice in the 50s. There's no reason Hillary can't lose twice to Donald Trump.
That's true.
Is there in the new millennium?
You're right.
And of course, we have JB in the background, not deciding it.
Lurking.
Joe Biden.
That's right. Trump's approval rating is zooming to 46%, which means I think it's time to invest in Jim Jones' old-style Kool-Aid because there could be mass suicides if, can you imagine? You thought people reacted badly when he was elected in November 2016? Oh, my gosh. A re-election? That would be pretty momentous.
Yeah.
Emotional support pit bull, Maul's little girl. So the question is it time to maybe, if not banning these creatures, at least require some certification, a piece of paper by the owner that Bowser is not going to rip a little girl's face off? I'm just saying. We'll get into that. And the anti-vaccine censorship, YouTube, Facebook, and so on, they're saying, we're not going to allow the anti-vaccine messages. So is censorship here a good thing or a bad thing? And Kamala Harris's dad is back in the news. She's all about legalizing marijuana. She says, of course, I'm half Jamaican. You think I haven't inhaled? And her dad's against it. So we're going to pronounce her dad a doobie downer because he's
I'm half Jamaican,
really
too, by the way. I was born near Jamaica, New York.
Oh, that's right. That counts.
Is that a legal defense? Possession.
In fact, so is
to sell?
Trump. Actually lived in Jamaica Estates.
He did. It's true.
So he's part Jamaican.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's. And also we're going to get into the Manafort story. His sentence was not quite as high as the prosecutors were hoping for.
A little lower.
But let's talk about Michael Jackson, guys. It's kind of interesting. He was accused of pedophilia. He was put on trial, and he was found not guilty up in Santa Maria. You probably covered it for KFWB in 2005.
Ah, the old days.
Found not guilty. But, he also paid $23 million to one kid's family and a giant settlement. And so the culture generally thought, there's something bad there. So now HBO comes out with this big movie, Leaving Neverland, featuring two of the accusers, who are now grown-up guys. And
did you see it, by the way?
I did, yeah.
And was it kind of gross? And I figured, what, we covered this stuff before.
Yeah.
But was there any new ground?
I wouldn't say gross. I would just say that, here are some guys that are on record saying, no, he didn't do it. And then they say, yes, he did do it. And now they want to file lawsuits. They want to make money off of it. So there are questions as to credibility. But I think it's just sort of seeping into the culture that, yes, for sure, Michael was a bad guy. And so Radio stations in Canada, in England, and New Zealand are saying ixnay on the Michael Jackson music. I'm wondering what you guys think. Do you think this is the way to go? Should we sort of take the big eraser, just like we get rid of the Confederate general statues? Should we get rid of Michael Jackson?
So CBS did an interesting thing last night on this. At the end of they did an R. Kelly special.
Really?
Because they took
a drugstore is putting on an R. Kelly special?
CBS.
Oh, you said CBS.
Columbia
I
Broadcasting
thought you said
System.
CVS.
Well, it could have been a CVS also under a special in the pharmacies. I don't know. But so CBS, Channel 2 in many areas, okay? Gayle King, you might say, got a lot of positive reviews for her interview with R. Kelly this past week.
Through the roof, yeah.
Yeah, and for Gayle King, I think Gayle King, it made her career. A lot of people thought and I did, that she got ahead in broadcasting because she was Oprah's friend. Remember that she was Oprah's friend?
But she's actually, turns out,
but she had,
she's very good, and
you'll
now
pardon
she
the
wants,
pun, but she stood up to him by sitting down.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
He really
and she wants Stephanopoulos money. She is negotiating a contract right now.
Really?
We're talking $20 million
right.
a year.
But at the end of this piece last night, somebody from CBS, wasn't her, but they did a little thing on former rock stars, singers who have had trouble with underage.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Men, and it goes back to Jerry Lee Lewis. That's the first thing. He was Exhibit A. Jerry Lee Lewis
married his 14-year-old cousin, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah,
Jerry Lee Lewis married his cousin. That's right. And a lot of radio stations banned him at the time.
Yeah,
he eventually bounced back, and I think was the marriage annulled. I can't remember. It's such a long time ago. Then there was Elvis. They brought up Elvis.
Priscilla?
Elvis, I forgot, started dating Priscilla when she was 14.
14 or 15, you're
14. I forgot about that. And, I guess...
Supposedly it was a chaste relationship until they got married.
Well, it's...
he chased her.
No, maybe he thought it was a... maybe he thought she was a hunk of burning love. I'm sorry.
So, I mean...
But anyway, and then they got into... And then Michael Jackson, and then R. Kelly, and I may have forgotten some people, but they were saying,
right,
if you're in the music
this
business, they
issue.
give you a pass.
Yeah. Well, that's a problem. Obviously, that's a problem if they're giving you a pass. The question is, what is the individual? What will we do in our lives? Do we delete this music off of our iPhones? Do we choose not to listen to the radio stations that play it and choose to listen to the ones that don't? I mean, this is Amanda Marcotti. I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She wrote an article for Salon very recently, this last week, that dealt with this exact issue because of the Finding Neverland documentary and because of the R. Kelly interview, where she says this movement, which people have dubbed cancel culture, meaning it's a culture where we will cancel you, air quotes, cancel you off of the media, off of the airwaves, off of our own library.
Erase you from history.
Yeah, we try to erase you from popular culture if you are a bad dude and did bad things. And her response to this is, she analyzed it and said, this isn't about the music being inherently bad. Nobody's saying R. Kelly's music is itself problematic or anti-woman or whatever. He himself personally was an abuser, or is an abuser. So we're doing this as a sideshow, and we're doing it because it's a way for the public, for the culture, for the zeitgeist to exercise some power, to flex and say, this is wrong, we need to take a stance, we need to do something about this, and the justice system can't catch these guys. They're getting off, they're getting a pass.
Right.
It's Elvis getting a pass and living on in history as not a bad guy.
I heard something, I think last night, that Leonardo da Vinci was a little weird. And so what do? Just cover up the Mona Lisa now, and then what do you do with
So the
that?
question is this a necessary step that we take, or is it an acceptable step that we take, or imagine in a hypothetical world where we could actually put these guys behind bars. We could say R. Kelly basically kept the women hostage as though they were mole women underground for a long period of time, and he's an abuser and he should do some time in jail. Or Michael Jackson, if he had actually gotten caught, if he'd done time behind bars, even if he'd gotten off easy like Paul Manafort, say he did some time behind bars.
Connection.
Right?
Yeah.
Put it all together.
Well,
say he did some time behind bars, then Marcotti says it's probably all right to leave
I can
the
see
music
that
in
argument,
culture.
but what about this issue? I mean, you've got the Confederate general, Beauregard, the slavery lover.
Yeah.
He's on the horse. He's in the town square in Montgomery, Alabama, where the Montgomery Biscuits play.
Right.
And people say, we hate slavery.
Yeah.
He loved it. We're getting rid of his statue. Okay, that's one argument. Now you go to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, the thing we hate about him is not what he's known for.
Right.
we hate about him the fact that, okay, we've concluded he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
But what he's known for, Beauregard was known for fighting for slavery. Michael's known for music.
Yeah.
And everybody loved and still loves his music. So is that an argument not to erase Michael the way we got rid of Beauregard, but instead to say, we're going to enjoy the music, but in the back of our mind, we're going to know, well, we really hated the guy.
Yeah, that's a problem. What do you do? Is there going to be a section now in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for pedophiles? I mean, what do you do with this? It's like almost with
morally challenged wing of the Hall of Fame.
I think Major League Baseball has not a similar problem with the steroid era. What do they do whenever
they just don't let
Barry
him in.
Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame
and
yet?
Pete
If
Rose.
they do, they put him. And Pete Rose was banned. Period.
Right.
Would they put him in the ban
and
part
I think
of the?
I think that's a safer, easier distinction to make because, again, like you said and like Amanda Marcotti said, that's the thing that they're famous for. They got success in baseball by cheating. Boom, get them out. These guys didn't cheat at music to get ahead. They're just
they used
evil
auto-tune.
outside.
Well,
Exactly.
auto-tune
There's
is
the
another-
auto-tune wing, is
No,
the other
it's
shame
another-
wing. Yeah.
Right.
So can we survive as a culture and be happy and healthy and psychologically healthy listening to R. Kelly on the radio and not having people be scarred by it and be feeling like I feel like a bad person or I feel like our culture is flawed in some way for listening to this?
I played at one of my kids' bar mitzvah. I guess my son's bar mitzvah. We played as a soundtrack to a memory video.
Sure.
I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly.
Yeah, but
who knew at the
how
time?
far do you go? I mean, Hitler was an artist, and he was probably a really crappy
Probably
artist.
a crappy house band.
pretty
But he was an artist.
Right.
Now let's say he was a really tremendous artist. Let's say he was world class.
Yeah.
Would I be comfortable as with Michael? Well, I really love Thriller. I don't like the fact he was
Somehow
a
I think
pedophile.
if Hitler sold enough paintings, he'd make enough money, then he wouldn't become the Fuhrer.
Well, maybe
we wouldn't have this.
But
issue.
where I'm headed on this
But, right.
is just as I really there's an argument for not enjoying Thriller because I know he was a bad guy. Just as if I saw a Hitler painting and I knew objectively, oh yeah, the experts say, and I can kind of tell, oh my God, it's world class.
Yeah.
I wouldn't enjoy it, and I would say get it out of the museums
Yeah.
because of who Hitler is. Well, I'm
Yeah.
not saying
Yeah,
Michael's
it's-
Hitler, but I mean, and you mentioned the business about, well, maybe if they served 6 months behind bars. That's not the way our system works.
No.
A jury found R. Kelly not guilty, probably because he was R. Kelly and they were bowled over by him. A jury found
Was he
O.J.
acquitted
Simpson
or-
not guilty.
Yeah.
A civil jury voted 12-0 saying he slaughtered 2 people.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, he settled for all these tens and $20
found him
million
not guilty,
and they
right?
found him not guilty. I think we're entitled to come up with judgments in spite of the presumption of innocence and the fact that there aren't any criminal convictions. I mean, now R. Kelly, although he beat the rap in 2008 on 17 counts of child porn, he now has 7 charges, I think, of 10 years each.
Yeah.
He's looking at 70 years behind bars. So I don't see any reason why we can't come to a moral judgment and say, I'm just not going to enjoy his
I
music.
think you're absolutely right. Absolutely. I think the problem, the Hitler painting, the example is a great example that highlights it. And the same thing came up with these Confederate generals. Is we need to separate the good that these people did from the bad that they did.
The art from the artist.
The art from the artist, exactly. Or from the art from the artist from the arts or from the artist's bad doings, which might be part and parcel with the artist, and say if their art is good enough, it might outweigh the bad thing they've done. And there is a balancing act, and that's why we look at Confederate generals and people say, oh, it's part of history. He's only part of history for his role as a bad, no good, evil man doing bad, no good, evil things. If Hitler had that art career, he wouldn't be Hitler in our heads. It's an easy hypothetical, not easy. It's a hypothetical you can draw, but if you change the circumstances, that changes who Hitler was as a part of history. In the same way that Michelangelo or somebody else, Da Vinci, might have done some terrible, terrible, no good, very bad things, but since they haven't in our minds yet until we
How
Me Too
big
them.
a deal is the fact that we're in the Me Too movement, and you've got Oprah, this enormous cultural icon. Sorry, Oprah, I didn't mean it the way it sounded.
Yeah.
She interviewed the guys in Leaving Neverland.
Yeah.
She's kind of weighing in on the side against Michael Jackson. Do you think those 2 factors are going to help tip the balance against Michael?
Yeah, I think so. I think we might have to start this conversation all over again, and we might well decide that Thriller was okay in 2008, right after he was exonerated, but after these documentaries bring it up,
If
maybe
we
it's
start
not
this
okay.
conversation over again, it's going to be just like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we can
A
carry
classic.
that off. When we come back, Democrats in Congress hate.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Were you scammed into signing a timeshare contract? And did you miss the part that said you have to pay for your great idea? Not only for the rest of your life, but when you're not here anymore, you get to pass this turkey onto your family for them to pay for the rest of their lives. Thanks, Dad. Don't burden your family down the road, and don't be stuck with expensive timeshare payments forever. Get out of your bad idea timeshare contract guaranteed, or pay nothing. Call Resort Release today and learn for free how their timeshare exit team can help you legally exit your timeshare contract. They've helped thousands of people, and they're A+ rated with a BBB. So if you feel scammed, get mad and get out of your expensive timeshare contract right now, guaranteed. Call NOW.
800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. That's 800-716-9903.
Hi, everybody. Michael Horn from CRNTalk.com. You know, we provide you with the best in talk radio. 8 channels of talk radio, from radio on the left, radio on the right, sports talk, business talk, religious talk, Spanish talk, you name it, we've got talk radio for you. All at CRNTalk.com. Well, now we'll bring you video as well as audio. That's right. Watch your favorite shows like The Robert Conrad Show, The Fred Dreyer Program, What's Cooking Today, What's Cooking on Wine, The Lounge, and so many other shows in video right at our website, crntalk.com. You can also watch us on Roku. Just search CRN Talk, and you can watch us on Roku on any TV anywhere in the world. Also on Facebook Live. Go to facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Roku, search CRN Talk. Check us out on Tiki Live and at crntalk.com. Video for you talk fans, all from CRN Talk.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. So we have a feature on the show. We like to talk about the stupidest people of the week. We call it Moron of the Week. We have one moron up at the top of the show, one at the end, and then we vote on the stupidest person of them all. Now, this first one is a little unusual. I hesitate to call these folks morons. They were victims of a tragic accidents, sort of the Darwin Awards sort of theory, where people maybe use a poor judgment and they wind up dead. So we won't really call them morons.
You don't want to speak ill of.
Yeah, that's right. But it was peculiar enough that I think we can talk about them behind their back after their demise. So this guy, he kept a lion, a 9-year-old lion, in his backyard.
That's bad.
And he would breed this lion. His name is Mr. Prasek. Was his name Michal Prasek from Czechoslovakia.
Okay, that's the guy, not the lion.
Yeah. So unfortunately,
the Czechs, they're famous for their love of lions.
Yeah, he had another lioness on the property. So there was a lion, lioness. He did, for breeding purposes, make a lot of money. The animals were in separate pens, and he would play with the lion. But the lion one day decided to maul the guy to death. So he's gone. The animals had to be shot and killed by authorities in order for them to get to the man to try to help him. He was already gone. And so that was rather tragic. Then the second animal tragedy, there's an elephant keeper named Arun Panikar, age 40, in India. And he might have had it coming. Apparently, a video showed that he was beating the elephant vociferously with a stick to make it sit down while he was washing it, giving it a bath. And so he slipped as he was standing under the elephant on the water, and the elephant decided to sit down and crushed him to death instantly.
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
So these are folks, I think, are victims of the Darwin Award. Some people might say, well, you were beating the poor creature, so
Right.
maybe you got what you deserve.
I mean, this is an example of both. Both of these are similar examples. These are tamed animals, not domesticated animals. These are not animals that you can realistically have bred generation lengthwise. You can't have converted them to cows or dogs or house cats. These are wild animals that you have decided to put a cage around and try to use, but we have humanity.
Well, this was the argument to letting Billy the elephant go in the Los Angeles Zoo. Wasn't there a big argument about this?
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I guess that is Billy the elephant still there? I don't know. They were going to put him, Billy, in a big, in an elephant on an elephant farm or something.
Basically, what they're doing is, if you go to Barnum and Bailey Circus now, I think they use holograms.
Yeah.
I don't think they have real animals
I think
anymore.
we're sort of reduced to Cirque du Soleil, which is fine. That's better than animals in a cage, dying slowly anyway.
I hate to one-up you on this. I think Barnum and Bailey is gone.
Gone?
Really?
The whole circus. They
that's a
literally
shame.
folded their tent. And
Well, at
went
least
away.
we
I
still
think
have Circus Vargas.
Seriously, the Circus Vargas is still around, but Barnum and Bailey is gone. If I'm correct.
Well, one guy who's gone to prison for 47 months, assuming that he reports and doesn't flee to Rio, is Paul Manafort. So he was sentenced this week. Wondering what you guys think. The prosecution said, well, maybe we didn't prove collusion, but doggone it, we proved financial crimes and lying about the Ukraine lobbying and so on.
Yeah.
And we want 19 to 25 years behind bars, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And the judge says, I'm giving him 47 months. So just under 4 years. Celebrity justice? Can you live with this?
Incredibly lenient. This is an example, of course, naturally, of how the super rich and the super famous get different
But
treatment.
he
from
led
everyone
a
else.
blameless life. What was it?
That's the thing.
The judge said, other than these crimes, he lived a blameless life.
Other than a decade of betraying his country in various multitude of ways.
Blameless, okay?
Blameless life.
And
this
a
is
sharp dresser, I'll say.
And you want to talk about, like, political crimes and the crimes that basically are crimes directly against the state. Not in the sense that, shoplifting is a crime against the state because the state maintains order and property rights within its borders, but directly against sort of the state and democracy. This guy undermined democracy in an extremely real way. He was a foreign agent within our borders, within our government, undermining our system. Compared his treatment, just under 4 years, to the treatment of the woman who, because she had a felony, was not legally allowed to vote, cast a vote mistakenly, thinking that she had the right to vote, who got a single mother who got more than 5 years.
So notice the judge who handed this down was the guy who really blasted the prosecution in the Manafort case about 6 or 7 months ago. He looked the prosecutor in the eye and he said, you don't really care about anything except getting evidence to impeach Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
But to his credit, the judge didn't toss out the counts. He allowed the trial to go forward. But, Manafort is going to get sentenced next week in a deal where he had a plea. So it's not like he's just going to get 47 months.
And that judge is known to be a little bit harsher and more by the book, maybe more throw the book at him as opposed to lenient and eccentric.
And here's my little prediction. Maybe the president won't pardon him, but he might commute his sentence, just as Bush commuted Scooter Libby's sentence. He didn't pardon him. When we come back, Hillary Clinton is not ruling out a run for the presidency in 2020. I cannot wait. I want to see another debate with Donald circling around her back. Stick with us in the Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Hey, Lorraine, do you realize that your mother, my mother-in-law, Chef Maria, has been serving Las Vegas since 1949?
Yes, I do, Dennis. That's when she first met Howard Hughes, who fell in love with her cooking.
And in 1955, she opened her first restaurant on Fremont Street.
Yes, dear. And another great customer was Liberace.
Wow. Then in 1962, while Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack were causing global excitement on the Las Vegas Strip, your family opened their second restaurant.
And in 1970, 1972, Elvis Presley began electrifying Las Vegas audiences and eating in our restaurants.
You know, Lorraine, this is quite a town. There's only one Las Vegas.
And there's only one Bootlegger Italian Bistro.
Folks, when you're in Las Vegas, come visit us. We'll make you feel like you're part of our family.
The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, conveniently located at 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Strip. Visit our website at www.bootleggerlasvegas.com.
We are the debt destroyer. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now to get our free report that tells you how to destroy your debt. It's a great resource. Plus, when you make this free call right now, we'll have a debt destroyer expert ready to help you. They can show you how they can help you destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help you slash your debt. Call right now for free information, including our Debt Destroyer Guide, a $300 value, yours free. Call right now.
800-515-6348. 800-515-6348. That's 800-515-6348.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I believe that your company has the answer because I've been through cancer treatment and knowing what it does to the body, and oh my, if that's all that medical science has to offer, there must be a better way, and I think the better way is knowing what to eat and getting it. I do notice that I have less inflammation. I feel like when I'm taking Balance of Nature, I'm getting fruits and vegetables more than what I would ordinarily get. I like when I open up the bottles, you can really smell the fruits and vegetables. I mean, I know I'm getting fruits and vegetables.
When you call, use discount code FLASH, and we'll take 20% off any first preferred order of Balance of Nature and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FLASH.
The following ad contains shocking material. Listener discretion is advised. Is someone in your family playing a dangerous game of Russian roulette? Over 43,000 people die a year from drug overdose. 120 people a day. 5 people every hour. 1 person every 12 minutes. 88,000 people die every year from alcohol abuse. Over 240 people a day. 10 an hour. 1 person every 6 minutes. Somebody you know may be next. Learn how to help someone you love get away from the drugs, alcohol, and bad influences. With the FMLA, people can take a leave of absence from their job and still keep it. Call Quit Drugs 321 now at 800-378-3315. 800-378-3315. 800-378-3315. That's 800-378-3315.
Back to the All Over Show with our co-host Jeffrey and correspondent Conor Oakes. So I don't know when I've been happier to hear a story than this one. Hillary Clinton may run for president again in 2020.
Where did you hear that she may run?
So here's
I
the
heard
deal.
that she was not.
2 or 3 days ago, she said, I'm not running. I'm going to keep working and speaking and standing up for what I believe. I want to make sure that people understand I'm going to keep speaking out. I'm not going anywhere.
That's a really good Hillary impression.
Well, I think it was
you need the
more like
pantsuit,
Billy
though.
Sunday, the evangelist. But then a day or two later, a reporter said, ma'am, are you saying you really aren't going to be running? And he's from Massachusetts.
Right, of course.
And what she said was, look, I didn't mean to, close the door on running. She said, I'm surprised how definitively this played. She said that I'm just going to, at least I want to wait to see the Mueller report. So the bottom line is she's not ruling it out. And actually, it could be the best thing for the progressives, because I think that the progressives are going to line up 5 or 6 candidates, and then there's going to be Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be like Trump and everybody else. Well, Trump wins because everybody else sliced up their pie.
Yep.
as it stands, Biden will probably win because all of the progressives will split the really progressive left-wing vote. Well, if Hillary slips in and she and Biden duke it out for the centrists, adults in the room,
Trump wins.
Maybe that gives a chance for one of the progressives to come in. Even before coming to Trump. I'm trying to figure out who's going to get the Democratic nomination.
Right, of course, yeah.
But wouldn't it be fun to see? I'd like to see her throw her pantsuit back into the ring.
Do we know
rematch.
what happened to the superdelegates? Because did they make a change in that after all that hoo-ha?
It's less of an elitist thing. It's more of a democratization because they're Democrats.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a superdelegate.
Connor, would you be able to vote for Hillary a second time if she were to run?
What, could I stomach punching the? Absolutely. I was happy to vote for Hillary the first time. I'd be happy to vote for her again. I think there are better candidates out there in the field right now. I prefer Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, and I don't know who else among the candidates I would prefer yet. Mostly there's a lot of posturing. I'd prefer Elizabeth Warren.
Did you know that Kamala Harris has admitted smoking marijuana, Connor?
Oh, my goodness. Good people don't smoke. A good man, Jeffrey Beauregard Sessions, once said, good people don't smoke marijuana.
That's what he said. So this is the newsflash of the week. Democrats in Congress hate hate. I'm so relieved to hear that. So the problem is they couldn't bring themselves to condemn a Representative Omar for her anti-Semitic remarks.
Minnesota.
She said people who support Israel are pushing for allegiance to a foreign country. Right. Earlier she'd said, hey, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. If you're in favor of Israel, it's all about the Benjamins.
So I think it's hard. I think that the first tweet, the all about the Benjamins tweet, was probably totally innocuous, and the pushback against it was overblown. I think that while you are directly, it has to be the case that there is an avenue, a way that you can criticize the amount of money that the pro-Israel lobby throws around.
Yeah, I think it was a criticism of AIPAC.
Yeah, exactly, of AIPAC, AIPAC, which is literally this Israeli lobby where they're trying to get the U.S. to pour foreign aid and military support towards Israel, and they have a lot of money to throw around, and they go out to everywhere and find candidates that they can throw money at that will say pro-Israel things and put pro-Israel things on their platform, even if it has nothing to do with the Wichita, Kansas constituency. Now, that is a legitimate criticism of this group, which is a hardcore lobbyist group. The second tweet where Omar throws around both, she uses the word they, and then she uses the word allegiance. And
to a foreign country, right?
Yes, and in the context of the larger conversation, it has been argued that they is basically talking about, again, AIPAC and the lobbyists. It is too vague. It was absolutely irresponsible.
They also might be just American Jewry.
Right, and that is the
general,
problem. That is the problem. You cannot use the word allegiance in this scenario.
As the Jew on this panel.
Yes.
As the American. So uniquely qualified to talk about.
Right.
Well, okay, but we can all talk about, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, it was an insult, and and Nancy Pelosi has to take, what's her name, Representative Omar, in her room, and have a come to Jesus meeting with her.
But
or
a
come to
little
Moses
different,
if you want to talk about it. The Jew thing,
right.
The Jew thing. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But Representative Omar has to shut up.
So did the Democrats show?
Pardon me, I feel strongly about this.
I'm sure.
And she should be removed from her committee. She shouldn't be kicked out of Congress, I don't think. She was elected by the people. But I think that she ought to be removed from her committee.
Well, you're right.
She's on the Foreign Relations
and
Committee.
That's the attitude that Democrats had.
And Pelosi should do it.
Yes,
and she hasn't. Maybe she'll do it in in a couple of days, but she should do it.
And there was a movement by Democrats to censure her and take a stand against the anti-Semitism. Yes. But then over the course of a few days in this last week, all of a sudden the Democrats decided, we're just going to condemn hate entirely. And it ended up, we're against Islamophobia, we're against all sorts of forms of hate. I think it showed lack of courage by the Democrats to change their views.
And I hate to keep jumping all over this, but they said, AOC said, a whole bunch of Republicans voted against it. What she didn't say was some of them, like Elliot Engel, who is from New York, who's I think is a Republican, said he voted against it because it didn't just zero in on, anti-Semitism. It included all this extraneous stuff.
Too broad.
Yeah, it's fine to be okay. That's for it. Why can't you do another resolution on that?
Yeah.
Why do you have to all of a sudden water it down and
Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to water it down and change the topic of conversation, which I think is, as you put it, It's cowardly.
Yeah.
I think that they should have said, she shouldn't have said these things. It doesn't make her bad or evil. And she doesn't need to be kicked out of Congress, but this is certainly, of course.
And it was a big gift to Trump.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big
Huge
gift to Trump.
Huge gift
And
to
speaking of Trump, so let's flip over to the GOP. Isn't it interesting that his approval rating has crept up to the point now where it's 46% overall, which they say is comparable to Clinton's and Obama's approval rating in the same situation, where they're 2 years into the first term, looking at the re-election. Are you stunned by this? I mean, when you look out there, you see his base. Let's say it's a third. It could be 30, it could be 28, could be 38. Let's call it a third. And of course, they're going to love him. It's just, you could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue; they wouldn't mind. But the rest of the country, wouldn't you guess that the other 2/3 of the nation is just so fed up with Trump fatigue, and personally he's so obnoxious? Some of them might like many of his policies, but how can you really be happy with a guy like that? How do you explain 46% approval where people are actually saying, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he got reelected?
It's nuts. It's completely off the wall to me. In the same polls, you can ask people, do you personally believe that Donald Trump committed crimes before he became president? Do you personally believe that Donald Trump committed crimes
Nobody's
after
perfect, Connor.
he became president? Campaign finance crimes, tax evasion, all these, a variety, collusion, whatever kinds of crimes you want to label it. The percentage of people who believe he committed crimes is well above his approval rating.
Does it go back to Clinton? It's the economy, stupid? That's the mantra for the Clinton re-election campaign.
The economy's doing still relatively well, although the jobs report
it's a bad
was
month,
bad.
but every
it was mixed, and actually a lot of people thought it was more good than bad. They said that the jobs were down because of the horrible weather throughout the nation, but in terms of growth, and unemployment was ticked down to 3.8%. I mean, it's happy days are here again in terms of the economy overall for a lot of people.
And frankly, one of the funny things about the most recent economic report is Donald Trump is obsessed with the trade deficit, and he mostly on one hand because he doesn't understand what a trade deficit is, and he thinks that it's a bad number because it has deficit in it and it should be lower. But on the other hand, Trump's attitude is also, this is something that through monetary policy and tariffs, I have a knob. I can turn that knob. And if I just define me dropping the trade deficit as down, as being successful, then I'll engineer a success for myself. Now, he's also not good at economics in any other way, and he doesn't understand that imposing tariffs actually increases the trade deficit in the short term especially. So he actually has shot himself in the foot, but he's defined success as lowering the trade deficit. Right. Now, this month, the trade deficit is ballooning. It's enormous. It's the largest it's been in a very, very long time, maybe ever. I don't even remember. This is what looks like a failure for him and a crisis of his economic policy, but everyone's sitting around going, right, but even though you defined lowering the trade deficit as a goal, we don't really care.
Right.
The high trade deficit just represents a stronger dollar. So is that a big problem? Who cares? It's not a big deal to us that there is a trade deficit. But from his own perspective and his messaging to his base, and in terms of that approval rating, he may have shot himself in the foot.
You see, you can be John Kenneth Galbraith and Milton Friedman and understand all this stuff, but folks in the heartland, either they sense that things are going well or not.
You're right, and wages are up.
And then, of course, the wild card is going to be the Mueller report. And for the last several weeks, there have been a lot of rumors about it's going to drop, and a lot of people now are figuring maybe next week. And when it drops, it's going to be fascinating because, Mueller can't just go to the New York Times. He can't go to Congress and say, look at this. The law says he works for the Attorney General and the DOJ. Right. He's got to hand the report to him.
Barr.
William Barr, Attorney General, who is on record saying, I don't think it's obstruction of justice to fire somebody trying to shut down an investigation. He had a right to fire somebody. So Barr, gets to decide what to hand over. Yeah. Now, Congress can subpoena it and people can sue, but he has a right to redact stuff out, for example, if it's confidential sources and methods. And also, it's against the law for him to reveal anything in the Mueller report if it's grand jury testimony where no indictment was handed down.
Right.
So he's going to feel pressure, a lot of pressure to hand out the report. My question is, doesn't everybody assume that of the 17 lawyers working for Mueller and the probably 200 staffers, doesn't everybody assume that somebody is going to take a thumb drive and flip it over to the New York Times
yeah.
or slip it under the door? How can this thing not go? I mean, if Julian Assange and the Russians can get all of the secret emails from the Democratic National Committee, do we really think that we're not all going to be treated to every word of this secret report? Or do you have confidence in everybody's ability to follow the rules and not violate secrecy provisions?
If this was the Trump administration, I think that anyone and everyone who had their hands, on or around this level of secret report would probably grab it and flee out of the administration and use it as their ticket of, look, I am now against the Trump administration because I can reveal this. But it's not. It's Mueller's team, and Mueller's team is pretty airtight.
Yeah, it's
not a big team.
Can somebody take a thumb drive and just give it to the New York Times, say, and then can they just print it and then wait for the legal blowback? Do you? Because it'd be some.
Yeah.
Think, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the Pentagon Papers,
right?
By the way, I saw The Post finally. The movie The Post.
Oh, did you like it?
It was great, and because it was all about Ellsberg and the Pentagon Papers. Did you see it? I don't know if you did.
I did. I really liked it.
Ellsberg and the
Meryl
Pentagon
Streep
Papers.
did so much better in Mamma Mia, but still, it was.
Tom Hanks should have been replaced by Jason Robards if you want to. Ben Bradley and all the
problem
President's
is
Men,
problem is Jason Robards.
But it was good. But it was very
isn't working much now, so I don't think we can get him.
That's too bad.
So let's flip over to emotional support animals, guys, because this is really a woman had filed a $1.1 million negligence lawsuit after her 5-year-old daughter was mauled by a pit bull. He was used as an emotional support animal at Portland International Airport, and the little girl reaches down to pet the animal while the owner went off to get a drink, a smoothie, from the stewardess. So Myrna Gonzalez and her kids were waiting for an Alaska Airlines flight, and that's when little Gabrielle asked if she could pet the dog, and it was horrible. She is undergoing tear duct surgery, disfigured her upper lip, leaving a piece of it missing. So why is it that we don't impose some rules? I get the fact that we recognize some people have issues so that they're really not in a position to travel by air unless they have some help.
Sure.
They've got the emotion. And we can joke about the fact that there was an emotional support monkey, and the emotional support monkey had an emotional support macaw, a parrot, on his shoulder.
Sure.
Okay, we can have fun with that.
The peacock and the...
Yeah, and the peacock and the miniature horse pooping in first class. Can you imagine paying for first class and having to have a slip and slide up and down the aisle? So we can make the jokes about it, but let's you recognize that some people really need help.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we at least have a requirement that if you're going to have a pit bull, and maybe we should carve out certain breeds, but if you're going to have a dog or some creature that could inflict damage, that you actually have to go get some sort of proof that this emotional support animal isn't violent, has had some sort of training. Some steps have been taken, because can you imagine having a little kid and having a pit bull? And actually, the little girl's lucky because pit bulls don't get let go.
Yeah.
They can kill you because they're so good at not letting go.
I was shocked a couple of years ago. I was flying from JFK back here to Burbank, and I was very surprised to see animals on the flight as well. And I guess they were emotional support. I hadn't heard the term at the time.
Yeah.
But you can do it, because I thought all the animals had to be in a crate and flying cargo under, and so on.
Yeah, and they're not going to be of much emotional support to you if you're there in a crate in the hold.
No,
basically, you got to let them be there.
I had no idea that they were allowed on the plane. Until a couple of years ago.
I mean, there's nothing inherently dangerous about having an animal as an emotional support animal, as opposed to having just an animal around in public interacting with other people. Places like airports, other public spaces. Dogs interact with tons of people all the time, parks and sidewalks and stores that they go into, and airports and everywhere else. And then there are times when those owners, let them off the leash, or they get away, or they are violent, and people get attacked all the time. I don't think their status as emotional support animals does anything particular and special, and you're right, we could sort of license that, but honestly, it's probably people are harmed much more often by animals not designated as emotional support animals, and that just makes it a better headline that the emotional support pit bull was the one that did the biting.
But it seems so scary when you're kind of trapped inside the airplane. I mean, the examples, Delta Airlines headlines a couple of years ago. An emotional support dog bit a man on the face, leaving him with 28 stitches. Last year, another dog bit a girl's forehead on a Southwest flight, leaving Phoenix. So it's very scary.
It is.
Hey, let's talk about vaccines. Jenny McCarthy and other playmates,
crazy people,
have their medical opinions, and some people believe it. And a scary percentage of the public now is saying no to vaccines for their children because they hear that they're dangerous. Now we're seeing that Facebook is banning ads that include misinformation about vaccines. They're going to tweak their algorithms. Do you think it's good that Facebook is in a position of censoring?
Absolutely. Facebook is in a position where they are a platform that puts up any kind of content you like. And as soon as you become a big and pervasive enough part of public life, you've got to take steps to actually moderate the content that you're putting out there. You can't have neo-Nazi groups, becoming Facebook, massive Facebook influences and harming society and making it worse. You've got to step in and take steps. And this is one where pure misinformation, conspiracy theory nonsense is literally killing children. And obviously they got to take steps.
Bad.
They have
bad
to.
now, too.
I agree with you. So you're thinking maybe they ought to just also ban pro-Trump editorial
absolutely.
views?
That would be better for society as well.
I knew we could trick Connor into favoring censorship.
What did I say?
Stick with us on the Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I was singing in the shower, singing El Solo Mio. Oh, Solo Mio. As I was singing Mio, I sneezed. So I'm drying up, and I sneeze again. And I blow my nose. A whole bunch of stuff comes out. I'm suddenly realizing that I am breathing out of my nose the best I've ever breathed out of my nose in years. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden now I'm breathing. What has happened in the past year? I'm a balance of nature. Little by little every day, if I experience it, I'm happy. I'm sure this has to do with balance of nature. I'm sure it does.
When you call, use discount code FLASH, and we'll take 20% off any first preferred order of Balance of Nature and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FLASH.
The following ad contains shocking material. Listener discretion is advised. Is someone in your family playing a dangerous game of Russian roulette? Over 43,000 people die a year from drug overdose. 120 people a day. 5 people every hour. 1 person every 12 minutes. 88,000 people die every year from alcohol abuse. Over 240 people a day. 10 an hour. 1 person every 6 minutes. Somebody you know may be next. Learn how to help someone you love get away from the drugs, alcohol, and bad influences. With the FMLA, people can take a leave of absence from their job and still keep it. Call Quit Drugs 321 now at 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315, 800-378-3315. That's 800-378-3315.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. They want your money, and guess what? They can legally take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you. So what do? Fight back by letting our team of experts at the Tax Helpline work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws and will fight to save your money. So if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket.
800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. That's 800-932-1597.
Back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffrey and your correspondent Connor Oakes. So, moron of the week. Up at the top of the show, we talked about some unfortunate guys who were killed by animals. Now we've got another candidate for moron of the week. Actually, it's a collective group. It's folks who play cowboy pinball. Have you ever heard of cowboy pinball?
No.
Okay, you go to a rodeo, and during a break, the announcer says, "Okay, y'all, if you want to win $100, you just go down into the rodeo arena, and we're going to let the bulls go. And we're going to see who survives."
Okay.
What?
Yes, they
have they ever heard of lawsuits?
So they signed waivers. Video footage shows a bull flipping two men in the air, ramming a third man into the arena fence. God. If you survive, if you are still standing, if you don't get hit by the bull, you get the $100 prize. And
Just
these guys do it. He says, "I tried to run, but I couldn't get my feet to move. They were just kind of planted." He's from Owensboro, Kentucky. And here comes the bull, and I thought, okay, it's going to get me, but switched back over to me real quick. That's when I started high-stepping and running. He got me in the ribs, busted a couple of my ribs, spun me around, throwed me up against the gate, and then kicked me in my leg. Put a pretty good bruise on that, and amongst all that, I got horned in the butt. So my whole butt cheek on my right side is nothing but purple.
Oh.
So this is a thing. It's cowboy pinball, and so the question is, should it be banned?
I mean, this is the same thing as the running the bulls in Pamplona, Spain. It's just insanity. This sort of machismo.
Only they don't give them $100.
No, they don't. You probably have to pay a lot.
Even stupider.
So, I mean, this is an example
my
of how
God.
people would do ridiculous,
I've
insane
never heard of cowboy.
No.
I've heard that at Gillies you used to get on the mechanical bull. And that was the urban cowboy thing.
Yeah.
With John Travolta and Deborah Winger back.
It probably boosts the attendance.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my!
You know what also would boost attendance if we had a Roman gladiator-style arena where people were gored to death.
Right. I'd watch
by
that.
Minotaurs.
I got an idea.
That great reality show.
Engineer Matt's very into that.
I got an idea for minor league baseball because it's hard to get the crowd.
That's true.
What you're going to do during the seventh inning stretch is you get the relief pitcher for one of the teams liquored up, 8 shots of vodka, so he's totally drunk. You have volunteers to stand in against him without a helmet, and he throws a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. If you can hit the ball, you win $100.
If you get hit, you're out.
Well, it's like the rodeo guys.
Yeah.
These guys could be... Anyway, so the cowboy pinball contestants are our moron of the week candidate. Who's the stupidest?
Maybe the moron is the guy who thought up this thing.
Yeah, that might well be. The poor contestants are just dragged into this scenario. I think the moron of the week is still the guy who tries to tame a lion and play with it like it's a house cat.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You look like a steak to that thing.
Can I put in a vote for the pinball wizards?
Why don't we call it a tie? We'll call them all morons.
And the elephant guy. It'd make a 3-way tie.
That's right. So let's talk Fortnite. Connor might be able to help us out here.
Sure.
You're kind of a gamer guy.
Sure.
I was reading about Fortnite in USA Today. It is a third-person shooter game where you see a shooter and you control him, and you
sort of an omniscient camera floats behind your little avatar as that person runs around.
You get to see the shooter, whereas first person
is you see their hands in front of you holding a gun. It's more personal. It's more visceral.
Can 200 million people around the world play this game?
Yeah, it's the most popular game on the planet.
It is raked in $1.2 billion for Epic Games. The problem is, two problems. It's really, really violent, and kids get really hooked on it, and the parents are unhappy about it. So the question is, they took a survey. 10% of parents said kids 8 years, you have to be 8 to play it. 16% said you had to be 10. Should there be restrictions on ages? Is it too violent? Should we ban it in terms of selling it to children?
Look, we've got age restrictions on games, with rating just like PG-13 or R-rated movies. If your game is rated MA, then you can't sell it to a kid under 17. But if your parents approve it and buy it for you, what are you going to do? Plus, Fortnite is not as bad. There's so many worse options out there. It's like cartoony, and there's guns, but it's so much more innocuous.
So don't ban it. But if you were the parent, how old would you wait before the kid would be able to play Fortnite?
Okay, I think Fortnite is probably a 7 or an 8. Yeah, that's not a bad age to sort of mete out the concept of violence and guns. Yeah.
All right. I don't think Ken and I are in a position to vote because we don't know Fortnite from 2 weeks.
We're all right.
Hey, folks. See you next time on the Royal Oak.
Because that was your theme. Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio shows sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear, high-definition digital sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio's 6 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear